Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today is our 79th episode, 3 tips for a successful retirement. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Feels good to be back.
Been a couple weeks, hasn't it, since you've been on here?
I think so.
What have you been up to? You got anything new and exciting? You still married?
Still married. We're coming up on the big 4-month anniversary.
Did you get her anything?
No.
Are you sure? You might want to go change it.
I've got a couple days to decide. I think it's only it's right around Valentine's Day though, I guess. So maybe I can.
Oh yeah, that is coming up.
One. Yeah,
right.
There you go. Heads up, audience.
All right, perfect. So, so for today's topic, we wanted to talk about 3 tips for a successful retirement. Cory and I meet with literally hundreds of retirees and pre-retirees, and we talk about this subject a lot. And we wanted to give our audience 3 things to consider as you're approaching retirement, whether you're already in retirement or it's even 20 years away. I think all of these things are pertinent in there. So tip number 1, we'll just dive into it here. Tip number 1 is make sure that you retire to something, not from something. Cory, why don't you tell the audience what I'm talking about?
A lot of the times, well, I don't know if I should say a lot, but when people retire, oftentimes people are, just tired of what they've been doing and they're ready for the next phase. But sometimes people don't give enough thought of what they're going to do on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. if they're not at work. In other words, once they leave and there's no turning around and going back typically, what are you going to spend your time doing? I think having a clear vision and an idea of, you don't have to have the next 30 years mapped out, but understanding I'd like to travel more. Here's how I'd like to travel, so on and so forth.
All right, so what do you tell your clients that are burned out, right? Because we meet with a lot of people that have done their jobs for maybe 20, 30 years, and they're just tired. They're tired of working 50, 60 hours a week. Even though they may have 6 weeks of vacation, that still doesn't do it for them. What do you what do you say to those people? What if they're just like, Cory, I'm just burned out, I'm just sick of it?
Well, if they're in good enough shape financially that they can leave, I've also told people, if you want to take 3 or 6 months, take 3 or 6 months after you retire to decompress and figure out what you want to do. Because if you're so mentally exhausted that it's kind of hard to think beyond like the day by day and what you'd really like to do.
Right, because a lot of my clients don't know what they say, look, I get it.
Yes.
You tell me to retire to something. I don't know what that is. I just know I'm not happy.
Yes.
Another tip that I'll give my clients is if they're burned out, but they also don't know what the heck they're going to do next, is if you do have a lot of vacation built up, maybe take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks off, right? If you've got tons of time, take it off. Do a test run.
It's good practice.
There's nothing wrong with that. Take a month off, especially if you can afford it, because you don't want to get into this trap where you've taken too much time off and now maybe your boss doesn't like that, or maybe you lose a promotion or you get fired or laid off or whatever. So if you can afford it, and if you say, all right, guys, I've seen that, Jake, Cory, you and your team, they've crunched the numbers. You guys tell me I can afford to retire, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. I think a good tip would be, let's take 3 or 4 weeks off and just act like you're retired. Let's see what that looks like. You may love it. You may hate it. Right, but then at least maybe you're getting a little bit of a test run.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I know that I've had clients that have done that, and I've heard both sides of it. Whereas, like, that was great, I'm ready to go. Like, this confirmed it. And other people are like, that was miserable. I was ready to get back to work. I don't think I'm ready to retire yet.
Yeah, and then you brought up another good topic, is that even when you retire, you don't have to have it all figured out.
No.
And give yourself 3 or 6 months to decompress, and then the whole world is out there. I've got clients that left high stressful jobs, taken a couple of years off and gotten right back into it because they're ready to. And that's the challenge that they want to embark on next. We've got clients that are authors that have written books. We've got clients that work part-time jobs, that are fun. We've got clients that volunteer, a million different things, right? So don't think you have all the answers, but I guess the point of tip number 1 is don't go into it and just say, I just hate my job. You guys tell me I have enough, I'm going to quit, and not at least think about it.
Yes.
Right? And that's all we're trying to do, is open up that doorway of thinking, what am I going to retire to? All right, very good. So tip number 2 that we want to talk about is be very careful. Retirees are often preyed upon by unethical advisors out there who are trying to sell you products There's tons of them out there, and there's a lot of hidden fees associated with these products, so you want to be very, very careful. One that we pound the table on that we don't agree with are mutual funds. Again, and to be clear here, the mutual fund is not necessarily the issue. It's the advisor charging a fee to put you in mutual funds.
Yes.
Right? The average mutual fund, let's say it's plus or minus 1%. That could be higher, that could be lower. The average advisor fee is plus or minus 1%. But you're in essence paying double of what you could do if you just worked with a competent advisor, in our opinion, who is out there picking you stocks and bonds and doing it yourself, or cutting the advisor out and just going directly to the mutual fund.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with advisors also just charging you maybe $100 or $200 a meeting to help you with your financial plan, but you shouldn't be paying them a percentage of your assets if they're not the ones managing the assets.
Right.
That's where we have a big problem. And we've done the math on this, that literally, this can literally change your portfolio, these hidden fees, from you being able to live comfortably for the rest of your life to running out of money, which is very scary. Or the opposite of that is if you want to leave an inheritance to your children, it could mean the difference of leaving $1 million when you're 90 versus leaving $5 million just by one simple hidden fee structure. So you want to be very careful. If your advisor's charging you and they've got you in annuities, mutual funds, index funds, anything with a product or a prospectus, just be careful. Be careful. And it's okay to ask, okay, I understand I'm paying you this fee, but what is the product charging me? Right? And it's okay to ask for transparency. There's nothing offensive about that. Asking your advisor, can you break it down in terms of dollars? How much is the mutual fund taking out of my account every year? I just want to know. It's a little soapboxy, but do you have anything to add on this hidden fees? You just want to be careful.
How many advisors do you think go over that with clients?
Oh, very few. We've seen it. We see it all the time. We have new clients coming in all the time that have no clue what fees they're being charged, right? And they have no clue what they're even invested in. And so you just want to be careful out there. You want to work with an advisor that's fiduciary minded. We have a very strong feeling in not using products. I'm not saying all products are bad. I'm just saying the advisor shouldn't be charging a fee on top of a fee on top of a fee on top of a fee, and it can get very dangerous. There's also a lot of insurance agents out there that are selling annuities or long-term care products that you may or may not need, and you just want to be aware. And ultimately, the responsibility does come down to the consumer, right? I'm not going to go to a department store and buy every shirt on the rack, right? Just because
Right.
the salesman says that they're cool or what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a consumer, and when I shop, I pay attention to the price that I'm paying for things and the value that I'm receiving. The same goes with the financial advising world.
While we're talking about this, I've always wondered it though. What other business or service do you pay for that you don't know what you actually pay? Or it's not clear to you what you pay?
Yeah, I know. Maybe doctors, but again, they're billing the insurance company. You still get a statement,
Right.
Right? I don't know of anything that's out there where you don't have a firm understanding of what you're actual paying.
And I think, like you and I personally, I think about all the clients that we work with. Generally speaking, smart, intelligent people that get it and they're on top of it and they
Right.
watch. They know what money they spend and they know what their expenses are. Heck, you had to deal with a credit card being compromised, right? But you dealt with that because you were at least keeping an eye on what was going on.
Right.
When it comes to something like this, it's just kind of like, it's almost like it's in the dark on purpose, it's in the dark on purpose.
Yeah, and you have to be careful. So again, be vigilant. I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your advisor. You absolutely should if you feel comfortable. But there's nothing, if a client asks me, hey, Jake, what did you charge me? It's on their statement. And it's like, perfect. We'll go look at your statements from last year. Here's the dollar amount. There you go. It's that simple.
That was it.
I don't have to go and say, well, I charged you this product charged you this, and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to do all that. And again, if you're comfortable paying double, triple fees, that's fine. But what I'm saying, if you want to have a successful retirement, you should probably know at least what you're paying and what impact that's going to have to your financial plan. It's very important.
I would get uncomfortable if I was paying
I would too.
2 or 3 times fees.
Yeah.
To each their own.
I would too. All right, so good. So the third tip, and I talked about this on one of our previous shows, is that spend money on things that you enjoy or value and get rid of the money that you waste, right? And I think that's very important. I think a lot of advisors, when they're working with budgeting for their clients, they take a bad approach about cutting out Starbucks or pinching pennies here or putting cash in buckets and blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with any of that. I think a good financial plan should be that we're accounting for all of your expenses, including travel and entertainment. But then our job is to help coach our clients so that they can spend more money on the things that they enjoy doing, and then perhaps help them cut things that they feel like they're wasting money on. What's something maybe that, and I can give you examples, like there's certain areas of my life that I'm very, very cheap, and there's certain areas of my life where I splurge.
Okay.
Right? And so,
what's an example of one where you're cheap?
of one where I am cheap, we don't go out to dinner a lot. Like I'll take Rachel out. She's a really good cook. So we eat in a lot. I don't go out to lunch, right? So I have a breakfast, lunch. I usually go home for lunch and eat. So I'm not wasting money on fast food or going out to restaurants or happy hours or stuff like that. So I do take my wife out to dinner because she enjoys that, but we don't waste a lot of money on that type of thing. What about you? Can you think of something where you're cheap?
That's the one I was going to say. I mean, as you and maybe even some of the people here razz me for, I eat almost the same thing for lunch every single day.
What is that?
But it doesn't bother me.
What do you eat for lunch every day?
It doesn't bother me.
Why don't you tell everyone what you eat every day?
Every day?
Yeah, what do you eat for lunch?
I have a wrap that has turkey, cheese, usually some lettuce in there, a little cottage cheese.
Pretty good.
Low fat or fat free. Some fruit.
What kind of fruit?
Usually berries, raspberries, blueberries. Generally, it's my favorite. And that's about it.
Do you get a cookie or anything?
Sometimes. I'll mix it up. But that's really it.
Right, and I go home and I'll eat leftovers, or we'll buy like a rotisserie chicken at the store and I'll eat on that all week.
But for me, that's one of those things that I know that I could easily spend $20 a day if I ordered lunch.
Right, and
if I
again,
went somewhere.
what you and I are saying, it's not bad to spend money going out to dinner. If you love the restaurant scene in Kansas City, which by the way is picking up pretty substantially, then go out there and spend money on nice restaurants, right? But maybe where I splurge and spend money, like I spend a lot of money on golf because I'm a huge golfer, right? And maybe that's not something that you do or you value. Maybe you're okay playing a less expensive golf course, right? Or something of that nature, but you'd rather go out to nice meals, 2 times a week.
Yes.
So again, it's all about finding what do you value spending money on. I'm not saying anything is right or wrong, but what we want to do is empower our clients to spend more on things that they enjoy. A lot of people enjoy experiences, for example, over stuff, right? So maybe you don't spend as much money on material possessions, but you spend a lot of money on vacations, right?
Yes.
And that's okay. Or it could be vice versa. Maybe you don't like traveling, and maybe you'd much rather have nice stuff, and that's okay too. So again, with Cory and I and our team, you're not going to get this cut out Starbucks, put all your cash in the jar, get debt free. Debt free is good and all that stuff is fine, but we really want to empower our clients to enjoy their capital. They've worked hard for it. They've saved it.
Smart.
We want to see them make good decisions, make smart decisions, and splurge where they want to splurge and be tight where they want to be tight.
I thought of one after you were talking.
Oh, good. Let me hear
To
it.
give you an example. So I recognized a couple of years ago that Cassie and I in our place, we had 2 TVs, we had 2 like cable boxes, right? And
Didn't you know that?
Yeah, and we were paying like, and I think like HBO and all that stuff, right? It was like $185 or $195 a month. And every month I was like, this is stupid.
So what'd you do?
Got rid of the cable altogether, got the slower internet, but I've never noticed a difference. And that bill went from like $185 a month to $55 a month.
Wow.
And haven't missed it once.
Right.
And that was years ago.
Yes, it's over $100 a month,
Wasn't
and now
worth it.
you're applying to something else, whether that's saving,
Yes.
whatever it may be, a trip,
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? That's $1,200 a year. That all adds up rather quickly.
It does. And one other kind of sort of myth that comes with all that I want to talk about too, though, that maybe sometimes people aren't wise enough about is if someone's in, not trouble financially, but if someone's in a situation where they're giving the advice of, well, cut out your Starbucks, right? Because it's X amount of days, X amount of dollars per day.
Yes, and
over
I get
years,
it, yeah.
$1,500. It's like, but at the same time, for a lot of people, that's like one mortgage payment, right? And it's, my point being that sometimes the advice that people aren't getting is like, depending upon their financial situation, maybe you live in a house that's expensive or you drive a car that's more expensive. It's like those, I feel like the big ticket items are the things that changing those has a much more significant impact than $5 a day on coffee.
Right. Yeah, you certainly don't want to waste money, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can make some other shifts and clean all that up very quickly.
Yes.
I agree. And I'll give you an example of this. One of the things that I did is a lot of my clients know I went to the Super Bowl this year, which is an extravagant expense.
Sure.
Very, very expensive and a complete waste of money. I'll be the first one to say it. But you know how I did it?
How's that?
I sold our AFC championship tickets 2 years in a row. And I relate this to the Marshmallow Test. Do you know what the Marshmallow Test is?
I don't think so.
You don't? So the Marshmallow Test is where I think they brought they did this on children. And basically the person conducting the study went in and said, if you were the child, they say, Cory, I'm going to leave this marshmallow here. You can eat it now. Or if you wait, I don't know, let's say 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was, I'll come back and you can have 2. So they did this study and they watched these kids and they tried to figure out who ate the marshmallow and wanted the immediate gratification or who was able to delay that for ultimate more. And there's all these different intricacies and blah, blah, blah. But what I'm getting at is I delayed my temporary gratification. Yeah, I wanted to see Tom Brady probably play. Maybe it was cold. Maybe I didn't want to. But yeah, Tom Brady was here last year. And then this year, I'm sitting at home watching the AFC Championship game. And I'm like, man, that'd be really cool to be there right now. But I wasn't there. But it all cashed in because I went to the Super Bowl with Rachel. We had a great time.
I'm glad you guys had fun.
And while selling the tickets didn't pay for all of the trip, it certainly dampened the blow substantially where I didn't feel guilty about making that purchase. I don't want to go back to another Super Bowl. I feel like that scratch has been itched, if that's how you say that, or that itch has been scratched.
That's right.
That itch has been scratched. So it was awesome. I don't even like Miami, right? But my wife was awesome. She's not even a huge Chiefs fan, but we went down there. We had a great time. We enjoyed the game. We soaked it all in. I got to hang out with the client, see another client and meet with some friends or see some friends. And so it was fun. It's a good time. But that's an example that I was happy to sacrifice a couple of other things, knowing that it could potentially pay off for a better experience.
Yes, and one of the things that I appreciate, or the points that you made there is, as far as that marshmallow test goes, being able to delay the gratification for what you really want is also, I think, in my opinion, it's just not like a horribly impulsive purchase.
Right, no, it was well planned out.
It's planned out because for me,
2 years, actually.
That's when, if
or 1 year, I guess, but whatever.
But if there's something that's more expensive than I'm planning on spending money on, I just have to plan for it, and then I don't have that remorse about it.
Yes.
But it's when Cassie and I were in New York not that long ago, doing like some window shopping. She was looking at a bunch of fancy bags that she liked, and I get it. She liked all of these, and kind of put them on her shoulder, like how much does this cost? And to me, some of these are like crazy expensive, right?
These purses are crazy.
But and we talked about it, and I was like, look, of course you could afford this. I was like, but to me, it feels like a way too impulsive of a purchase.
Right.
Like there's no way that if I were you, that I could just buy that. And she's like,
you told her no?
I said, you can do what you want, but.
Well, I guess she has money, right? So.
Yes, I was like, but if it were me, I couldn't feel good about doing that
so
if I wasn't
her out
planning
of it?
for it. And she's like, yeah, you're right.
Good for you.
And we left.
Was she mad?
No.
Did you go get her a cocktail afterwards or something?
Probably. I don't really remember, but probably so. But my point being there though, it's just, for me, it's always worked that way, that if it's something that's planned for, it's obviously probably the nature of us being planners, but
right.
Again.
Yeah, but again, that's what we coach our clients on. So again, we kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, but again, I just wanted to point out, 3 really good tips for a successful retirement is 1, retire to something, or at least think about it, maybe test it out. 2, be wary of hidden fees. There's a lot of people out there charging hidden fees on investments that could really eat into your retirement savings. And then 3, splurge on things you enjoy and scrimp on things that you don't. And like you just mentioned, make sure you have a plan for it. That's very important. So very good. So that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you as always for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to us on a podcast, thank you. Thumbs up button, share, subscribe. We really appreciate that. We're starting to get a lot of momentum with our content. It's all, again, organic here right at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And if you're out there on the social media platforms, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And certainly if you have any questions for me, again, my name is Jake Falcon and my email is jake@falconwealthadvisors.com. Cory?
The social media platform I'm probably most active on is Twitter. And
yeah, but none of your clients are on Twitter.
Okay, you can email me. It's Cory@falconwealthadvisors.com.
You have a lot of clients on Twitter?
I don't know. No, not probably a lot.
Right.
You can find me on Facebook.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of
Facebook and
friends.
Twitter I'm on the most.
All right, perfect. Well,
I've got the Instagram account, but
it's a tough one.
I don't think I'm creative enough.
No. Very good. Well, thank you again for tuning in. We hope you all have a great week.
Thank you.